to stop 3 of the 2007 AVP Crocs Tour. This is the Huntington Beach Open. Surf City, USA. One of the most beautiful spots in all of the United States of America, and a regular home to the greatest beach volleyball players in the world. And this weekend, you have the sun, you have the surf, you have the sand, and you will have the highest payday ever in the history of the beach. Welcome inside center court of the Cuervo Gold Crown Series third and final stop for 2007. We are set for the men's final. Well, hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Goldberg, and welcome once again to the AVP Crocs Tour. Say it with me. Today, one team will get a bonus check of $100,000. Now, here was the story coming into the weekend. If Todd Rogers and Phil Dahlhauser had just made it to the finals, they would have won $100,000. But in the semifinals about 2 hours ago, Sean Rosenthal and Jake Gibb, the only other team that can win the bonus check, knocked Rogers and Dahlhauser out of the tournament. But the job is yet not done, because Gibb and Rosenthal must win here on center court. After the semis, they caught up with Sinjin.
Okay, Jake and Rosie, you guys just won the semifinals. You beat this team that you've had trouble with for a long time, and not only that, it gives you a shot at $100,000. How does this feel right now?
Well, that win felt great, but of course we haven't done anything yet. We're right in the same spot we've been in, and we need to get a final win. So, one more game.
Okay, so you got Lambert and Metzger in the final. I mean, you got to get geared back up. It was so nice beating this team, the #1 team, but now you got to beat the #1 team from last year.
That's the toughest thing, huh, Sinjin? You got to forget it. We got to forget that win and then go in and get this one. This is a huge game for us, so we got to celebrate here, and then we're done, and then get back and focus.
Okay, good luck. $100,000 on the line.
Sinjin, it will be the biggest payday in the history of the beach. And could it go to Gibb and Rosenthal? We'll soon find out. Here are the official introductions of our finalists from Chris McGee.
Ladies and gentlemen of Huntington Beach, I ask you this one question. Are you ready? And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, $100,000 on the line. And here he is, Hermosa, 8th Street. He calls his home. He is the leader of the free world, known as Rosie's Raiders. Ladies and gentlemen, the son of Joel, 4 open wins, Sean Rosenthal, Superman. And his partner, ladies and gentlemen, he grew up in Bountiful, Utah. He's the youngest of 11 siblings. They used to throw out the lunch meat, and he would compete. Ladies and gentlemen, he is big, smooth, and nasty. The 2005 MVP of the AVP. You, sir, are Jake Spiker Gibb. Ladies and gentlemen, the #1 team on the Crocs Tour last year lost their first game to a qualifying team and had to crawl back from the depths of darkness. From Honolulu, Hawaii, Outrigger Canoe Club, a 3-time national champion out of UCLA, 13 open wins. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Stein Metzger. And ladies and gentlemen, his partner, also from Outrigger Canoe Club in Honolulu, Hawaii, Puto High School, Stanford, 1997 national champion, a 2-time indoor Olympian, the 2004 MVP of the AVP. Lambo by day, Lamborghini by night, Mr. Perfect, 12 open wins, Lambo! Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Todd Rogers and Phil Dahlhauser, pretty big fans right now of Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert. The Huntington Beach Open men's final is coming up next. The AVP Crocs Tour Huntington Beach Open is being brought to you by Crocs. Play hard, live comfortably. By Bud Light, refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it. By McDonald's. And as always, the AVP Tour reminds you to vive responsibly. Mike Colbert, St. John Smith here at Huntington Beach, and you already talked to Jake Gibb and Sean Rosenthal, St. John, and they were quick to point out the job is not complete. The $100,000 check has not been awarded yet.
Well, half of the job is over. They wouldn't even be in this position for $100,000 unless they beat Delhauser and Rogers, who they've lost to the last 2 weekends in the finals. But now they're in the finals. They have a chance for $100,000, but they got to get by Lambert and Metzger.
How much pressure is on them knowing there's $100,000 on the line?
You know what? They're going to say that they're not thinking about it. They're going to say they're going out just to play the game to win the tournament. But you know, in the back of the mind, it's still there. They know 100 grand. It's just, you can't get it out of your mind. So it will have a little effect.
We will find out how much in a matter of moments. Of course, Stein Metzger, Mike Lambert trying to play the role of spoilers. I bring in the legendary Karch Karai. Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert have really struggled at the beginning of the season. They have finally hit their stride. Why do you believe that's the case?
Well, boy, did they struggle. In fact, their confidence was really shaken, losing the last match in Miami, both their only 2 matches in Dallas, and losing the first round here in Huntington Beach. It was a shocker. But they've come back really strong, and they say they've done it by cleaning up their technique, cleaning up their passing and their defense. Coming back to their 9th match in this tournament, they feel like, this is just icing on the cake. We're back in rhythm, and now we're going to go for the win.
Interestingly enough, Stein Metzger was quick to point out that he hit his rhythm in a matchup against you, but he gave you a great compliment. He said he started to emulate your technique and got clean with his passing again.
Well, he talked about trying to have a really strong, low stance, and that's what you always want to do in volleyball, have your feet planted firmly apart, and you can get a better platform out there. And boy, did he play incredible defense against us yesterday, the last match, continuing on through today.
High drama for our men's final. How will it break down? How should it break down? Let's navigate our match courtesy of Not a Gun. For that, we go back to St. John.
Well, it's just very simple. Gibb and Rosenthal, what they have to do is control the ball. Rosenthal gets out of control sometimes. He's such a great athlete. He goes up and wants to hammer that ball. But you know what? With all that height he gets up in the air, if he just moves the ball around, he's going to be much better off. And channel block. What I mean is I need Gibb to give Rosenthal an opportunity to dig, because Rosenthal is such an awesome digger. I saw some incredible digs yesterday. Now, Lambert and Metzger, don't hold back. They've come all the way through the loser's bracket. Don't hold anything back right now. Give it everything you got. Cut off angles. I need Lambert to take away the sharp angles. Don't be blocking the middle of the court. Nobody hits there.
9th match of the weekend for Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert. Our rules is always on the AVP Crocs Tour. Best 2 out of 3 games. The first 2 games to 21 points. The third to 15. Rally scoring is in effect, which means a point is scored on every play, and you must win each game by 2 points. The men's final here in Huntington Beach. Todd Rogers and Phil Delhauser will be watching very closely, because if indeed Metzger and Lambert are able to win this final, then the $100,000 will still go to Rogers and Delhauser. Rosenthal opens with an ace. Sean Rosenthal, 26 years old, the most athletically gifted man on the AVP Crocs Tour. Last year, 2nd in kills and digs, and he has been virtually air-free throughout this Sunday of championship-type play. Metzger scores the first point of the afternoon for the team of Metzger and Lambert. Stein Metzger has arguably been the most consistent and the most dominant player the last 3 years on the tour. Now, last year, Todd Rogers started to close in on that, but in the last 2 years, the top 4 other than Cincinnati and Dallas for Stein Metzger. That's in the last 3 seasons. So consistent. And the big block by Lambert. Mike Lambert. They call him Lamborghini. He, of course, a former AVP MVP, former Offensive Player of the Year, and he has the ability to be as dominant as anyone in the game today. Jake Gibb over the top has the answer. Gibb is 31 years old, looking for what would be his 8th career win, his 7th in his career on the AVP Tour, and by far the biggest payday of his basically a decade on the beach competing against the best.
Well, biggest payday for anybody.
Absolutely. There has been $100,000 given before, but it's 100 plus the first or second place check, as you know, St. John. So this is a huge opportunity with the first 3 events of the season being all put together with the Gold Crown Series.
And it's interesting how the points work out. A first, and a third is not as good as a first and 2 seconds.
Line. What an effort! And again!
Are you kidding me?
I tell you earlier, I told you about the kind of digging he's capable of doing, and he ran down a ball that I don't know that anybody else could get. He sprinted off the court. Watch this. You can't. There he goes. One arm gets it back over the net, and even more spectacular, a one-arm dig. Boom, back over the net and down for the point. Oh, yeah, what a great way to start.
What did we say a moment ago, Karch, about the most athletically gifted player on the AVP Crocs Tour? Thank you for confirmation, Sean Rosenthal. And the cut shot by Stein Metzger. Gibb and Rosenthal in their 3rd consecutive final. Take a look at how they got here on our Bud Light recap.
Well, it wasn't quite as difficult a road as their opponents have, but Didi McGill and Karch, how do you say that guy's name? Marchuka. And then defeating Dual Loyal in a tough match. And then going on to Saturday again, only two matches, Stolfus and Wong going through them easily, even though Stolfus and Wong have been playing very well. But Hayden and Keenan played incredibly well this event, but they beat them also. And then Medell and Souza, and of course Delhausen and Rogers in the semifinals to get to the finals in a tough match. Could have gone either way, but that opened the door for them for this $100,000 opportunity.
And on the other side, of course, Lambert and Metzger starting with their 4th loss in a row on this tour against Robbins and White, but then started their march, a juggernaut through the losers bracket against Carlucci, Doble, Olsen. Really hit their stride, barely got past Stolfus, but hit their stride against Kirai Wong, of course, and then today, putting us out late. Another close one against Lucena, but boy, blasting Hayden and Keenan, who had a great tournament, by the way, a very strong finish by John Hayden and Brad Keenan in their first tournament together, getting 3rd place. But great momentum for Lambert and Metzger.
Dahlhauser and Rogers hoping that 3rd place will still be good enough for the bonus check. Karch just talked about Brad Keenan as he ties his career best finish with a 3rd place with John Hayden. Medell and Souza, Nick Lucena, Will Strickland finish in 5th place, and the legendary Karch Karai, Kevin Wong, amongst the finalists who made their way to a 7th place finish. So both of these teams coming out of the contenders bracket, but a much longer road being taken by Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert.
I'll tell you that match against Hayden and Keenan, where Hayden and Keenan won. I don't know if I made that clear, but Hayden and Keenan played incredibly well. I mean, I thought they were going to make it to the finals today.
They lost in the semifinals to Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert, 21-18, 21-14. Here's Gibb with authority.
And that's one of his favorite hits. He mixes it up so well when he hits that high middle, St. John. It's so hard as a defender to cover that, and also the sharp angle that he mixes in.
You know, I don't think he's trying to hit over the block. I just think he realizes the block is going to go one angle or the other, and it's a risky play to make, to hit kind of the middle of the court, high middle, high angle, because, you know, a lot of times the blockers are just hanging out there.
Metzger finds the corner.
And literally the corner. That landed right on the ring between the 2 ribbons. What a great shot that was. And you can see the super slow-mo, this great view of getting past that Gibb block. Gibb's getting his armpits over, but look at that, right in the corner. What a beautiful view there.
Did you know that ball never spun? It was like a float serve without spinning, but it was a powerful spike.
And that's why Rosenthal let it go and thought it was out with no spin.
So 5-4 our score. Metzger and Lambert have the lead. Not anymore. Tied at 5. This is the 6th finals matchup between Metzger and Lambert, Rosenthal and Gibb. Metzger and Lambert have been dominant, winning 4 of the 5 finals matchups previous to today.
Here's a great hit, deep ball. Whenever you can spike the ball deep into the court, normally, even if the defense is close to it, they're going to let it go thinking the ball's going out of bounds. They're playing for the ball in front of them, not the one chest high or shoulder high.
And right. Lambert.
There's Rosie ready to, I mean, he gets his hands on so many balls, it's incredible. And not just running down digs and things like that, but hard hit spikes. Spikes coming at I don't know how fast. As fast as your spikes, Mike.
And they're fast, trust me. Trust me when I tell you that. Stein Metzger's just been smiling a couple of times. Rosenthal's been getting a hand or an arm on every one of these shots. Lambert off the block. He says he found the line. The early indication is he did not.
That's dead in. Dead in.
Well, the linesman is calling the ball out on the block. Lambert blocked the ball straight down. It came down so fast it was hard to see where it landed.
Captains.
But now the referee is going to let the captains know what the call is.
Ball mark is clearly in. Ball's in.
Okay, the ball is in. So Lambert was right. Linesman says you are correct. And the point goes to Metzger and Lambert.
I think it was too fast for the linesman to see.
They checked the mark, and that battle won by what was the #1 team on tour last year, on to Sean Rosenthal. That's the one thing to keep in mind, Karch, that yes, Todd Rogers and Phil Dahlhauser won more tournaments, but the more consistent team, the team that was in the Final Four all but the last event of last year, was Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert.
Really, but I prefer a point system that rewards more wins rather than consistency. If you get 8 wins in a season, I think you're the #1 team on tour versus 5 wins.
Metzger finds the back line again. And this is a good start to what is a huge afternoon where one team, and only one team, can walk away with $100,000. And Rosenthal and Gibb capture the big payday.
Welcome back to Huntington Beach, ladies and gentlemen. Stein Metzger, Mike Lambert leading 8-6 over Sean Rosenthal and Jake Gibb. This right here is the Solar Safe Conditioning Report, because when you play beach volleyball, guys, it's tough out here. You got to play the elements. So we look at the weather conditions. It's 80 degrees and perfect. What else would it be in sunny Southern California? Look at the sand temp. Well, it's 100 degrees. Unfortunately, they can't play in their Crocs, so they got to be in their bare feet. It's hot out here. 100 degrees on the sand, but right here, the UV index. That's the important one, ladies and gentlemen. That's at 8. That is very high. Make sure you have your sunscreen on. As far as the wind, it's called the Great Equalizer out here. It is howling from the north. That means the right side will be the good side. Expect a lot of points scored on the good side. Back to you guys.
All right, explain once again, St. John, why that is the good side going into the wind.
Well, you want, particularly for serving, you want the wind blowing in your face so you can really rip that ball into the wind and it drops into the court, makes it very difficult to pass.
Peter does it all.
And as a result, in that last serve coming from what we would call the bad side, you could see that Lambert only put about 60-70% speed on that one.
You want to keep it from floating right out of bounds, don't you? That wind takes it over, and so you cannot go after it the way that we would expect Rosenthal to do now from the good side. And he does for the ace, his second of the game.
And the one thing is this stadium goes around us and blocks the wind out for 3/4, but really the wind is coming through that diagonal opening, and he's going hard to use that right in the middle, down the middle of the court where the wind's coming through that gap in the stadium. Confusion, hubby-wife between Lambert and Metzger there.
So Gibb with the big hammer, and then the ace by Rosenthal, and now we are tied at 8. And Metzger up tight, and Gibb got a hand on it.
They're saying Jake Gibb is over. So
they said Jake Gibb is over the net.
The ball is still
not happy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If we come back at the same time, I can bring it.
No, there's two things. If you get it before or the same time on their side,
You think I hit it
it is
before him?
their ball. What's that?
You think I hit it
I agree
before
with the same time, but it's on their side. He has to get it first. He has to get it first when it's completely on their side.
So you're saying if it's on their side, we can't go simultaneous?
What's that? Yes.
Because it was simultaneous.
Right.
Okay,
But
can we get a
completely.
rule book change?
What's that?
Rule book check?
What's that? What's that?
Can we get a rule book check?
Come here.
Can we get a rule book
Yes,
check, please?
yes. Come here.
I'm not trying to be a clown.
I understand.
See, normally, you cannot touch
They're
the
asking,
ball.
okay, here's what we no, I know. Here's what they want. I'm saying the ball is completely on their side. We have simultaneous contact, okay? He's protesting the fact that what we have is an illegal contact on him because we have simultaneous contact, ball completely on their side. He has to let him touch it first is what I told him. He wants to protest that call.
But that's the key.
Okay, so get Steve. Okay, so get Steve. Hey, break. Hold on. Jake,
Okay,
go get Steve, please. Thank you.
And Steve is the head of referee, so they're going to get a final determination on the actual rule. But the call is that Gibb contacted the ball before Metzger, and it was on Metzger's side of the court. And it sure looks like he did.
Well, no. The referee says it's simultaneous, but this clearly shows it was not simultaneous, and that's what makes it, to me, illegal, is that it was all the way on Metzger's side of the net, but Gibb touched it first.
Exactly right. But Gibb says that he wants to argue that he got it simultaneously, even though he knows he touched the ball on their side of the court. So Gibb says, hey, I got it simultaneous, so it should be all right. And Steve, the head of referees, is going to make a determination based on the rules. But you can see that Gibb did touch the ball first, and it was on the other side of the court.
So, Coach, basically what Jake Gibb's saying is because it's simultaneous, he doesn't think it matters where the contact took place.
Exactly, and I think he's right that if the referee gets it wrong and says, oh no, that was simultaneous, then it should be Gibb's ball.
Right.
But the right call is not simultaneous.
So they made the call that Gibb did not give an opportunity to the offense to make a play on the ball on their side of the court.
And so it's 9-8. And you can understand, not just the finals, but with $100,000 on the line, Jake Gibb wanted to make darn sure what was going to happen. And the volleyball gods look down upon him as he gets the net cord and the point.
What a save by, first of all, Sean Rosenthal setting from his knees, and then Gibb from 12 feet off the net with a lucky tape dribbler over and down on what was a sure point-scoring situation for Metzger and Lambert.
So we are tied at 9. Metzger around the block of Jake Gibb. Ironically, the last time Gibb and Rosenthal captured a championship on the AVP Croc Store was the first event of last season in Fort Lauderdale, and they defeated Mike Lambert and Stein Metzger in that finals. But as I mentioned earlier, it's the only time in the 5 previous meetings they've won the final against this big team. And that might be one of the reasons why.
And the other interesting thing is these teams haven't even played against each other in 8 months. The last time they met was in the losers bracket in Cincinnati. Lambert and Metzger winning after losing to the same team earlier in that tournament. But they're both kind of feeling each other out a little bit because they're so out of sync as far as getting to know each other 8 months ago.
Jake Gibb makes no mistake. Highly competitive game number 1, 11-10, Metzger and Lambert. Let's go down to the Crocs Lounge, check in with Chris McGee.
Hi guys, how we doing up there? I'll tell you how we're doing down here. I'm doing great, but Raji, this is something different. I mean, I'm used to seeing you out there on the court in the finals. It seems like the last 3 years you've been out there every single time, but today, finally a loss for you and Phil.
Yeah, Phil and I played like there was $100,000 on the line, you know, and we didn't play our best game. We pressed. We just had a long conversation about it, and I felt actually that Rosie and Jake played a good match. I'm not going to take anything away from them, but we did not play our best game, and unfortunately, yeah, there's a big prize at the end that we could have considered made and done for us, and now we got to sit here and sweat it out.
You know, Goldie and the guys hit on at the top of the show. You're still here because the $100,000 is still in reach, but you have never cheered harder for Lambeau and Stein. You need them to win so you can get the $100,000 because you can do a lot with $100,000.
There is quite a few things I think I can do. I mean, I can certainly pay some serious bills, finish that court up in the backyard. Yeah, you're not kidding on that one. Yeah, I am a big Lambeau and Stein fan right now. Unfortunately, I've known those guys a lot longer, so I'm comfortable cheering for them right now. Most of the time, yeah, I won't be in their corner, but this time, yeah.
Let's talk about Stein and Lambeau. They lost to a qualifying team on Friday. Everyone thinks, oh my God, what's wrong with them? Who's hurt? They're done. They've crawled back from the depths of darkness, and here they are in the final. Did you expect that from them?
You know, they definitely have the capability of doing so it doesn't completely shock me. Out of all the teams, you know, there's only a couple that I would think could do that, them being one of them. But yeah, they were struggling. I mean, everyone was sitting there going, what's wrong, and they were going to make me look really stupid. I have a blog, and I said, I thought that Stein and Lambeau would be the team to beat this weekend. I really did. I said it wasn't us, it wasn't them, even though there was more on the line for us. I just felt that those guys would come out and be like, we're going to show the world, you know, who's boss. And they came out and laid an egg that first match. And since then, though, I guess you could say they have been the better team, I guess, after how many wins? 8?
Yep, 8.
8 in a row? I mean, 7, whatever it is. I mean, impressive, very impressive.
Well, Stein just chiseled right there. He's up 13-11. What do you see right now so far in this match?
I've only watched actually the last, 8, 9 points. It looks like both teams are siding out pretty darn well. No one's really going for their serve, which kind of shocks me. There's Lambeau at least hitting a little bit more decent one. Looks like kind of a set of battle. I don't know, you tell me.
Look at this play, Raji. Steino. Of course, Rosie's there for the dig.
Lambeau with kaboom, and no. Lambeau with put away.
Real quick, Todd. What did Phil? What did Rosie and Gibb do differently with you? I mean, you guys have had their number for about 2 years.
They played a good game. I thought that Rosie shot the ball a little bit more, which essentially was a challenge to me to dig the ball rather than letting Phil control the net as much. But I spoke with Phil. His blocking was a little bit off because he was pressing. My defense was a little bit jittery, and I'm trying to jump to the line shot and making an easy dig on the angle go away because of that. And we just both pressed, and it was good for Olympics. I said, look, we do that again, we're in a gold medal match, we're going to lose, so we need to be, hey, play our game. Our game's pretty darn good. There aren't a lot of teams that can beat us if we play our game. And that's basically the bottom line.
Great job, Raji. We appreciate you stopping by here in the Crocs Lounge. It looks like you're just chilling down here. You're close to getting $100,000. You might. So good luck the rest of the way. You're a class act, and we really appreciate you stopping by, man.
I appreciate it.
All right, bud. Hey, St. John, Karchi, Goldie, back to you guys. I'm just going to stay down here.
Yeah, do it and enjoy it. And Todd Rogers is absolutely right. This is more so than anything else. Put the money aside. This is a huge learning opportunity, as we've talked about a lot, Karch, for what is the top team right now. Rosenthal with the left. 15-13. They switch sides. Metzger and Lambert looking for the win. and in doing so, helping Rogers and Dahlhauser to that big check. Lamborghini is out, so is Sean Rosenthal. It's a perfect day in Huntington Beach with lots of drama for you on the AVP Crocs Tour. Gibb and Sean Rosenthal in the finals, but go all the way down to the 8th spot. Mike Lambert and Stein Metzger made it to the Final Four, losing in the semifinals in Miami, but then they lost their 2 matches consecutively in Dallas and finished in 17th place. Ouch. Yeah. And then lost their first match, as was talked about in this weekend's competition, to qualifier. In fact, for the first time on the men's side ever, 4 of the 8 qualifiers won their first matches of the weekend in the main draw. Go! And that we had never seen before. This the 3rd and final stop of the Gold Crown Series. And St. John and Karch, we talked about it a lot. They changed the format a little bit. They shoved them all up front this year. So the pressure was on early to be ready to compete and win the bonus check. Started with Dahlhauser Rogers winning Miami. They followed up in Dallas. And lots is still on the line here in Huntington Beach.
You know, I think it's probably a smart thing, so there's no confusion about what events are part of the Gold Crown. They know exactly what events are part of the Gold Crown. And it's right up front. It's spring break time. It's probably a smart decision. It's kind of tough for the players to come out early in the year, first event, and give it their very, very best. But they knew about it in advance, so they're all training, getting ready, preparing, and trying to come out, you know, mid-season form right off the start.
Karch, you know very well that all the players know when there's a bonus check on the line.
Well, I think they do before the game starts, but you have to put it out of your mind, and it really just comes down to passing, setting, and putting the ball away each and every time. And the thing that's happened to Rosenthal and to Rosenthal and Gibb is that they've got away from what works so well for them against Rogers and Dahlhauser. They're challenging Lambert's block too much, and they're making hitting errors, and they did neither in that match.
Yeah, in the start I said Rosenthal's got to control the ball. He gets up so high. There's a hell of a hit on the line, but he gets up so high that he wants to bang that ball, but he can shoot the ball and avoid the block. Now let's look at Lambert get up as high as anybody in the game and explode on that ball, and it just catches the line. You can see the line just jumping because it just caught the line.
18-14 here in game 1. Metzger and Lambert.
And like.
That's a big swing by Stein Metzger.
Well, I don't know if we can see it on a replay, but Stein went over to the line to play defense and then stopped halfway. I think it was designed as a fake, and then came back and got the cut shot by Rosenthal. Let's see if we can see on this where Stein, he makes a move to the line, boom, and then back to the angle to get that ball. A hitter's always looking to see what the defense is doing, and if they see the defense moving in one direction, they want to shoot the other direction. But Stein faked him out, moved towards the line, and then back to the angle.
Short serve. Handled neatly by Gibb and Rosenthal, and they side out.
And one of the things that Metzger and Lambert both talked about earlier today was how little they played against good competition in the preseason. They were almost exclusively with their coach Jeff Elzina, and just the three of them were doing drills, and they felt like they weren't battle tested, and that was part of the reason why they lost those 4 matches in a row. If they had to do it over again, they'd probably play against better competition early.
Lambert with a free ball and the put away. And it sets up game point for game number 1.
Game point, 20-15.
Well, don't forget, the Best Damn Sports Show, period, is the greatest nightly sports show on television with your hosts, Chris Rose, John Sally, Rob Dibble, and Rodney P. The Best Damn Sports Show, period, weeknights at 11 p.m. only on FSN. So game point number 1 for the team that can be the spoiler, Metzger and Lambert, but also the team that had 5 wins, 9 finals, and 14 of 15 Final Fours 1 season ago. Not quite yet.
You think Rogers will give Lambert and Metzger a piece of
he at least should buy some serious steak dinners, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not dinner on me, it's dinners for a year on me.
Absolutely. And Mike Lambert and Stein Metzger laughed about that when we talked to him before the finals matchup card. Uh-oh, the overpass. Effect of the wind, and now it is 2017. Game point number 3.
That was pretty close. That ball, Gibb had to hold back so he didn't reach over and get the ball before it came to his side.
The cut shot for the win. And game 1 belongs to Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert. 21-17. Rogers and Dahlhauser halfway to $100,000. The first ever tournament in Huntington Beach was in 1975, and here we are again with the men's final for 2007. Game 1 goes to Metzger and Lambert, looking for their first win of the season. The overpass and another big swing by Mike Lambert.
Lambert talked about it earlier today, that it was kind of like a friendly slap in the face. Those 4 losses, they came in with a little bit of an attitude like, hey, we're #1 seed, we can cruise a little till the 3rd or 4th round, but they had to readjust and just be as hungry as those qualifier teams, that one of which they lost to in the first round in this tournament.
And line, go! Go!
In getting things straightened out, Mike Lambert used the word fight on numerous occasions when he talked about what they really needed to do to get things back to where they should be.
Absolutely, and the gauntlet was laid down for them, being in the last place again, maybe finishing last again for the 2nd straight weekend, but they pulled through. They're so happy just to be in the final. Steino said it's like icing on the cake to try and go for the win here.
And this being their ninth match of this tournament. The all-time best is 10 matches won a few years ago. Many teams have had to go 9, but playing 9 matches over the course of a couple of days and perhaps capturing the final, that is a full weekend's worth of work.
It sure is, but Arch and I did that in 2 days a long time ago, but there's no question you have to play 4 or 5 matches in a day, and it takes its toll. It's unbelievable in the sun, moving around in the sand. It just drains you.
No, but you're right, St. It's definitely easier. They did 2 matches on Friday, 4 yesterday, and this is their 3rd today. It would be a different story if they had to go 5 yesterday and 4 today. They'd be much more drained.
3-1, a good start again for Metzger and Lambert. And this really is turning out to be what was the biggest fear of all the fans of Gibb and Rosenthal. They'd get rid of Rogers and Dahlhauser, get here, and then not be able to capture the big prize. And they're in big trouble here because Metzger and Lambert are cruising.
The crowd was reacting to that set, I think, because it had uncharacteristic spin on it, which Lambert is such a great setter that usually it doesn't have spin. When he sets, well, that had spin, and then Metzger just hammered that ball. Oh, they're playing through. But I think the referee knows that based on the way the sets have been called throughout this tournament, that he might have let one go. But he's going to make it up. I assure you, the same set on the other side of the court, he ain't going to call that either.
Gibb with authority.
St. John, the only problem with that is if he calls it that loose for the rest of this match, then it's a different standard. I think he's just got to admit, I missed that one, but I have to call it to my normal standard the rest of this tournament. But different referees do different things, and that gets a little confusing for the players.
Yes, it does. There's no right way, actually, because someone's going to complain.
Yeah.
And right. Go. Mike Lambert talked about how he needed to get back to getting proper footwork, how the fundamentals pay off, Karch, because you're drilling all the time, but you can never emulate going against some guy standing on a box in a practice game situation.
And they had so little competition against their fellow tour competitors in this offseason. That was a conscious choice because they have such a long season. This is the first of 21 weekends in a row. And they're going to go, but oh man, takes an out shot right in the glass.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get up over your head up over the net. You get, every once in a while, you get hit in the face.
Reminds you of Dahlhauser has taken a few shots.
Absolutely.
Himself because he gets up so high. But they made a conscious decision not to compete much against other teams, knowing it's such a long season and trying to be prepared. They admit now it's probably a mistake.
I agree that being a mistake because I think, you know, these guys think, oh, if I play against them, they're going to learn my game. You know what? You play differently. You play, you try different things, but you just get better if you play against better competition.
And they are back to where they were when they were a dominant team last year. This week is the first of 7 consecutive weeks of action on the AVP Crocs Tour. And then every time you get a little break on the AVP Crocs Tour, some of the top teams in the world go overseas and go to a Grand Slam event. So really what you have is a situation of 21 straight weeks, as Karch talked about, 23 of 24 potentially for the best players on the men's and women's side in the entire world. So you want to be a beach volleyball star? Get ready to spend a lot of time in the surf and the sand in competing against the best. Well, in honor of St. John Smith's 50th birthday, we have included you, partner, in our Wearable Gold Crown Series flashback. 1992 Boulder against Karch Garai and Ken Steppas. And what was the final score there, guys? In game 3. Was it 15-1?
Thanks. They always pick the best ones, don't they? St. John,
did you really beat them 15-1?
How did you let them pick that one?
It's our birthday present to our good friend St. John Smith. You gave him a heck of a present that day.
So when my birthday comes up, St. John gets to pick.
Absolutely. You never lost 15-1. Just St. John did. Come on, Karchi.
Oh, yeah. And line!
We were going to show the 1 point, but we couldn't find it. There's a point. Stein Metzger.
Well, I tell you, Gibb and Rosenthal really have to turn something around right now or they're in deep trouble. They're on the good side and giving up points. It's going to be tougher to serve tough once they get back over there. Now is the time. I see this as one of the biggest side outs of the match. They've got to get this down for a point.
7-2, Metzger Lambert.
And liable!
They get the side out. Karch, how much of this could be the emotions of finally getting over Todd and Phil in the semifinals? Because we talked to Lambert and Metzger, and they were quick to say, clearly, all the pressure is on Gibb and Rosenthal right now.
And it could be, as you said, a little bit of a letdown
yes,
for Gibb
absolutely.
and Rosenthal. Getting over such a huge hump. They had such a bad losing streak against Dalhouser and Rogers that they were so happy just to get past that they're letting down now against this great team here.
And Gibb knew it was a potential problem coming into this final match and having a letdown, and he knew he had to concentrate.
Now concentrating on the comeback here with 2 straight points are given Rosenthal.
And they still have a few more opportunities on this good side. They're starting to pull their way back. That's why you cannot let the match get away from you that early. Another thing Gibb talked about earlier today was one of the things he's most proud of is how they keep fighting back. They have had a number of losses in finals, but they're not afraid to lose. They figure, what's the worst that can happen? We get second, but we keep fighting back. Not every team would be able to do that.
They have been in every final thus far. This is the 3rd stop of the year. And Lambert with a big swing.
Okay, and taking 2 seconds gave them an opportunity to play for $100,000. Let's watch Lambert. He gives it so much when he hits that ball, not only getting really high, but he really has a strong arm and shoulder and just pounds that ball.
Rosenthal well off the net, and it is deep, and so the point goes to Metzger and Lambert. So those 2 points earned are given right back away, 9-4.
And those unforced errors they had virtually none of
Yes.
against Dalhouser and Rogers in that semifinal match. And that's what they were so happy about, cutting down those unforced errors. Rosenthal led the tour last year in unforced, trying to cut those down this year.
Gibb with the big swing, and Lambert was right there with the block. Mike Lambert in perfect position. Metzger and Lambert lead game 2, 10-4. Teams switch sides, and don't forget, Sports Ultimate Nightly Highlight Show is here. The FSN Final Score, every great highlight, every unforgettable moment, every night on FSN. It's the only national show that gives you nothing but wall-to-wall highlights. The FSN Final Score, every night, only on FSN. Check your local listings for the start time in your area. Mike Goldberg, St. John Smith, Karch Karai, Chris McGee, glad to be here center court. Huntington Beach Open for 2007, the men's final. Service air by Lambert, it's 10-5. So they're down by 5, St. John, and now they do not have the good side to work from this deficit and try to get themselves back into this match.
Always an advantage to be on the good side, but that doesn't mean you can't score points from the bad side. This game is by no means over.
Rosenthal!
And you could see in that earlier graphic, Jay Gibb with 0 blocks so far in this game. Rosenthal's the one who's doing all the point scoring off his defense rather than getting them off of Gibb's lock.
And there was another dig, coming across and digging that ball, and then just beating that ball to put it away. Boom, just right by the side of the block, and was he up high as usual.
But no spin on that ball. Normally you see the top spin. He was lucky he kept that in with the wind at his back.
Yeah, when you're jumping to the ball with the wind at your back, the ball blows away from you. Well, there's another one off the top of Gibbs' head. But the ball blows away from you, and it forces a hit like that you were talking about, a flat hit, because you can't come over the top of the ball. Now, I don't know if this is affecting Gibb at all, but he's getting beat up. Worse than De La Hoya the other night. Oh, well.
Another subject for another time.
All right.
Congratulations to Floyd Mayweather Jr. And Lambert is becoming the man that we are accustomed to seeing at the net.
Yes, and he talked about he had a strained quad earlier this year. He wasn't being able to jump like he wanted to, but he's got his 5th block now in this match. Both he and Gibb are down about 10% in their season-long stats from last year. They're both under 2 blocks a game when they were both almost over 2 blocks a game last year.
Lambo's making up this game.
Lambert gets another one.
Exactly.
There's 6. And Lambert was quick to point out that earlier in this tournament, he didn't feel like he was playing well at all, and it was Steino 05. It was Stein Metzger carrying the way, not now.
I'm telling you, here's what's happening. Here's why Lambert is having such great success. The wind is blowing the ball too close to the net. It's not allowing the player to get and reach it at its maximum height that's out in front of him, and it's too hard to move the ball around when it's blowing away from you.
Rosenthal with the hammer.
And
little frustration on that one.
You don't often see Stein Metzger or any defender in this tour take a shot off the ground to your face. That was unbelievable, Rosenthal. But back to that win, St. John, there was the same win in the semis, and they handled it better by keeping the ball off the net against Dalhouser, because if you put it too close against him, you're even in more trouble than against Lambert.
Short service. Hit it to Metzger.
Go, buddy.
Rosenthal gets the proper roll.
The steam shovel. That was what we call the steam shovel. Metzger looked like he was there, but he dipped in a little too much, and his hands caught the sand. He scooped sand instead of the ball.
13-8, though, a huge deficit to overcome for Gibb and Rosenthal. If they cannot overcome, they will not capture the grand prize. It'll be Rogers and Dalhouser. Here's the reigning MVP of the AVP Crocs Tour, Todd Rogers, defeated in the semifinals. That story has been well told here in the last hour or so, and he can barely watch, though, even though it would seem that they might be bailed out by their good buddies Metzger and Lambert. Rogers is ready to head for the door. I think I'd wait and get my check.
I want to keep an eye on him and see what happens when Lambeau blocks the ball. See if there's any element of excitement coming out of him.
Oh, great disguise by Stein Metzger, and over the top with the pokey.
And that's one of the things that they have not done until this weekend. Was Stein Metzger was really having trouble mixing in his shots and what we call side-out volleyball, not giving up a lot of points when you receive serve, but he has really steadied out his game, and he's back, as you mentioned, that Lambeau said, back to 2005 Steino playing really solid volleyball.
He said Steino 05 and 07 is good for me. Good serve by Lambert. But handled neatly by Rosenthal, and he finishes 14-9.
Well, we could hear him talking in the players' bench between side changes there. Stein Metzger was saying it is really hard if you're on the a left side player on the downwind side. That ball's blowing off the net, so they wanted to go at Rosenthal and see if it would blow off, but Rosenthal made a nice save on that play.
Huntington Beach, it's 14-9, misses it.
And now they're switching it up. Gibb has such trouble blocking, they're going to try and Rosenthal.
Let's see how this goes. First try. Oh, ball just went off the tape and out.
But you know what? Just having Rosie up there, Lambeau made his worst hit. So just a little change can have an effect on a team.
Point went to Lambert and Metzger, 15-9. Rosenthal, 15-10.
And this is the time where Rosenthal really has to make something happen with his serve. Serve it tough into that diagonal wind that's coming from the gap in the stands, and try to get a bad pass or a bad set, because it's now or never if they're going to go for that $100,000 and win this second game and force a third.
And win their first AVP Crocs Tour title since last year's season opener in Lauderdale. Service was gone after, but it's wide, and it's 16-10. Remember last year, Rosenthal and Gibb just one win in 6 finals, and that was extremely frustrating. We talked about it week 1 in Miami, Karch.
And now they've lost 2 more so far this year, and on their way to losing a third.
If it weren't for Acapulco and an international championship, they would be an opener for a long, long time in finals.
And they'd still be there. They said if they didn't win in that one, they weren't coming home.
They would truly be on the Gold Crown Series.
Well, you know, they had an opportunity last year to go 2 in a row and actually had it and gave it away.
The meltdown in Tempe.
Oh, my God. And that kind of set the stage for the last year.
And you can see Gibb and Rosenthal thinking the same thing we were. They're on the good side. They have to make something happen with their serve, and they pressed too much and missed their 2 serves. It's the same thing that Todd talked about in the semis. Dalhauser was pressing so much he missed his last 3 serves, including match point to give it to Gibb and Rosenthal.
Wow. And the finish on 2 by Sean Rosenthal, but they have a lot of work to do.
Well, that cut serve that Stein Metzger just did while his wife is cheering him on there, that was a really sharp angle that gave us fits yesterday when we were playing that team. But Jake Gibb did a superb job of getting his hands on the ball, made a nice pass that Rosenthal was able to put away.
Emily Metzger in attendance today, hoping that her husband and his partner Mike Lambert
get a piece of Dalhauser's $100,000.
Absolutely. Great point. Thank you, Cindy.
A lot of dinners.
13-17. Gibb Rosenthal trail.
It's not over. The Lambert and Metzger cannot relax right now. They absolutely have to finish this out.
They called a lift on that last play. Short service. And left. Mike Lambert. Here's the block finally for Jake Gibb.
Smart of Rosenthal and Gibb. They were not getting any points off Metzger, so they figure, well, it's easier for Mike Lambert to hit over here into the wind But let's try something different, and now they've gotten 2 points off of it.
And that's a great timeout by them. You don't want to let them get too close to them. Call the timeout now, stop the momentum, see if they can turn things around and finish this game out.
You figure they've got to go right back to the well here, St. John, and go at Lambert again. Try and serve him deep maybe, and then that pass is floating up into the wind. That's probably why Metzger mishandled that ball 2 plays ago, and try to make that pass move through that wind and set Gibb up for another block.
Yeah, that a deep serve pushing Lambert back, forcing him to pass the ball further into the wind, having that wind blow the ball around, and Metzger run around underneath that ball and try to get both hands on it evenly. Very, very difficult play. He missed the first set. The second one, he went to the bump. The bump went off the net. Lambert made a pretty good hit, but Gibb was all over it and roofed it.
So one thing that goes through players' minds during this timeout is Jake Gibb and Sean Rosenthal have to decide, all right, Gibb took angle that last time. Do I go to the well once again or switch it up on Mike Lambert to try to keep him thinking? What do you think Gibb's going to do?
Well, I only know what I would do.
Which is?
I would take his strength. You know, with the wind blowing the ball back, I think he's going to want to try to hit high angle. Unless he gets close set, and they'll try to turn it really sharp inside.
There's the pass they wanted.
Yep. There's the effect of the wind.
Well, it's their
17-15.
Now the pressure's on Lambeau and Metzger. And Metzger was smiling. I know he really didn't mean to smile because this game ain't over.
That's the deep serve you want.
Over him, over him. No! Caught the line. Mike Lambert.
Well, I was wrong.
That's a huge side out.
Lambert, I was calling for a high angle or sharp angle, and he beat the line. But Gibb was thinking the same thing I was.
The thing is, Gibb and Rosenthal, they're still right back in this with a strong side out here, only down by 2 points.
18-15 in game 2.
Hey, nobody!
Rosenthal. Received by Lambert. Now Lambert with the finish.
Well, Rosenthal netted. You know, one more point and they go to the good side. They really needed that point to get to the good side and have a shot at winning this game. Now it's just a little bit tougher. Not impossible, but a little bit tougher.
But they can still win this play, and if they can finally get their serve going, they might still be able to force game 3.
Metzger and Lambert, the team of the year from 2006 and the Crocs Cup champions. Gibb. Lambert with the block. Kept alive though and finished by Sean Rosenthal.
Wow, what a cover by Sean Rosenthal. A little confusion on defense there for Lambert and Gibb, for Lambert and Metzger. Little surprised that Gibb keeps challenging this Mike Lambert block. Watch how far above the net Lambert gets. Great move. He dove into the angle there. And then the confusion, running the I formation when you don't want to run it on defense.
I'm not sure why Lambert was backing up to the angle instead of backing straight up, which is a shorter distance when you're a blocker backing up off the net.
Lambert with 6 blocks in this championship matchup. What a serve! Opportunistic is Jake Gibb with the ace. It's 19-17.
And you could see the wind pull that ball down. I mean, it went over the net, and it had the topspin on it, and then the ball just died in front of Lambert. It was actually coming right to him without the wind. But with the wind, it came straight down.
And you could see his balance he was thinking it's coming high. I'm back. Oh, and then they go back to Metzger.
And it turns out to be a mistake. At the net, Mike Lambert.
Well, you don't want to.
2017.
When that ball gets that close to net, Lambert, it just starts licking his chops.
And it is an opportunity for the joust and the win. And for Metzger and Lambert, it is game, match, championship point.
Oh. Boy, they're giving them every opportunity to come back. Let's see if they can take advantage.
I think Rosenthal has to try to get this serve back to Lambert. He's in the toughest position to hit here. Much easier, more easy for Metzger to put the ball away than Lambert with the wind at Lambert's back.
And that's where a lot of those blocks came when Gibb and Rosenthal were on the bad side. It's when the ball was blowing away from the right side.
Game, match, championship point number 2. For the title. And it is all over. Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert defeat Sean Rosenthal and Jake Gibb, and in so doing, Todd Rogers and Bill Dahlhauser win the Gold Crown Series and a check for $100,000. They played the role of spoiler and in so doing earned their first title of 2007. Metzger and Lambert reign supreme in Huntington. Huntington Beach Open has been brought to you by Crocs. Play hard, live comfortably. By refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it. By Xbox. The ultimate gaming experience is available now. And as always, the AVP Tour reminds you to vive responsibly. Take a look at our Xbox 360. Let's make it plays of the match. Using your head, but not to your advantage. Jake Gibb nailed not once, but twice today on big hits from the opposing team that ends up defeating them. Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert. And that leads us to our Gatorade's Champions interview. And for that, here is Chris McGee.
The Huntington Beach champions, Mike Lambert and Stein Metzger. Safe to say, we're back. You guys are back. I mean, Lambo, take us through it. You lost to a qualifier team on Friday, and that was it. It was over. The honeymoon had ended, and the role was gone. But now you're back, and you won about, what, 7 matches in a row? Won the tournament?
It was unreal. I mean, after getting us, we went 1-2 for 17th in Dallas the tournament before, and we came out here. We're like, okay, we gotta find a way, and we go against these qualifiers and just lose that one. It was just like, oh, what do we gotta do? And at that point, it was like, it's not about X's and O's. We got to do a little gut check. And so we checked our gut, and I think we still got it. We got it.
Now, Steino, we were working on that jump serve a little bit earlier in the week. You broke it out, and it worked well.
Well, my passing and serving wasn't the problem because you helped me with that during the week. But I think Lambo's right. I think it was just a matter of bringing our aura back and just getting out there and fighting. There's a lot of good teams out here. And we had to just scrap and crawl our way through. We never had more than 40 minutes break all weekend. And we made it happen somehow.
How much money are Phil and Todd going to give you?
There's all kinds of ways you can skin that cat. I mean, we got cash, we got dinners, we got hotels. We'll talk about that later. That'll be fun.
Congratulations, the Huntington Beach champion Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert.
Gator, thank you. Stein Metzger, 16 kills, 6 digs. Lambert, 10 kills and 6 blocks. This concludes our coverage of the men's final of the AVP Crocs Tour Huntington Beach Open, where once again, Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert defeat Jake Gibb and Sean Rosenthal 21-17, 21-18. Now stay tuned, because coming up next, we'll have coverage of the women's final, and that features the top 2 teams on the AVP Crocs Tour. The women's final coming up next on FSN.